President Rodrigo Duterte on Wednesday, April 28, announces the quarantine classifications for different areas in the country starting May. He says Metro Manila, Bulacan, Rizal, Laguna, and Cavite will stay under Modified Enhanced Community Quarantine or MECQ until May 14. Santiago City, Quirino, and Abra will also be under MECQ but until May 31. Meantime, the following areas will be under General Community Quarantine or GCQ until May 31. The rest of the country will be under modified GCQ until May 31. Earlier, Metro Manila mayors backed a hybrid MECQ in which travel in and out of Metro Manila would be restricted but more businesses would be allowed to operate. Meantime, on Thursday, April 29, the Philippines receives 500,000 more doses of the Sinovac vaccine. This brings the country's total stockpile of the vaccine so far to 3.5 million. On Wednesday, April 28, Russia's Sputnik V vaccine is supposed to arrive, but this was delayed due to logistical concerns. Delivery is now expected in May along with more Sinovac doses, vaccines from COVAX, and possibly Moderna. The Philippines is also set to receive 2.3 million doses of the Pfizer and BioNTech vaccine not later in June. President Rodrigo Duterte on Wednesday, April 28, admits the Philippines has a great debt of gratitude to China for its COVID-19 vaccine donations but stresses he can't compromise on the West Philippine Sea.
Mayroon tayong utang na loob na marami, pati yung bakuna natin. So China, let it be known, is a good friend and we do not want trouble with them, especially war.
The National Task Force on the West Philippine Sea says 5 Chinese ships remain in Philippine waters and the government beefed up patrols in the critical body of water.
But there are things which are not really subject to a compromise. Sana they will understand. But I have the interest of my country also to protect.
Duterte vows he will not allow an incident like the 2012 Scarborough or Panatag Shoal standoff to happen again. The president also blasts retired Supreme Court Justice Antonio Carpio and former Foreign Secretary Albert Del Rosario for being very vocal critics of his China policy.
Ikaw, Carpio, maligo na kayo doon kayong dalaw ni Albert sa beach doon sa Parawan harap ng Spotway.
In a statement, Carpio says Filipinos deserve and should demand a president who will uncompromisingly defend Philippine sovereignty and sovereign rights in the West Philippine Sea. Earlier, the Department of National Defense called out China, saying they have no business telling the Philippines what we can and cannot do within our own waters. This comes after China's foreign ministry urged the Philippines to respect China's sovereignty and rights and interests and stop actions complicating the situation and escalating disputes. Senator Bong Go apologizes for wrongly claiming Lapulapu was from Sulu. After receiving flack, he explains in a Facebook post Wednesday night, April 28, it was his staff who included the wrong information in his address for the 500th anniversary of the Battle of Mactan. Go says the story of Lapulapu as a tausog from Mindanao came from Abraham Ibarani Idjirani, a spokesperson of the defunct Sultanate of Sulu. The presidential aide-turned-senator adds President Duterte mentioned the claim in other speeches. Go apologizes for how his speech might have come off wrong and says he's ready to listen and learn based on what the experts of history know. Following Go's speech in Mactan last Tuesday, Cebu-based anthropologist Jobers Bersales of the University of San Carlos clarified there was no evidence to support that Lapu-Lapu was from anywhere else but Mactan. Justice Secretary Menordo Guevara says it would be the call of law enforcers if they will arrest House Deputy Speaker Rodante Marcoleta and Anak Kalusugan Representative Mike Defensor for openly distributing Ivermectin. Around 500 people received free Ivermectin from Marcoleta and Defensor in a covered court in Quezon City Thursday, April 29. Guevara says, quote, on its face, it would appear that the distribution of Ivermectin apparently violates the Food and Drug Administration or FDA law. The FDA allows the use of ivermectin for humans only on 2 instances: if the medical facility dispensing the drug secured a compassionate use permit, or if a doctor prescribed it and the drug is compounded by a pharmacist according to the prescription. The health department said the same thing. Health Undersecretary Maria Rosario Vergeire said people who are dispensing ivermectin to treat COVID-19 are violating the law since this type of ivermectin is not yet registered in the country. Residents who lined up for ivermectin on Thursday are required to fill out a checklist with doctors present to give prescription. Afterwards, they get the readily available drug on the spot. They're also asked to sign a waiver. Amid the ongoing public debate over the use of ivermectin to treat COVID-19, President Rodrigo Duterte earlier ordered the Science and Technology and Health Departments to study the use of ivermectin as a possible treatment against COVID-19. President Joe Biden's address to Congress breaks a historic glass ceiling Thursday, April 29, Manila time. Two women, Vice President Kamala Harris and House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, sit behind the president for the first time in U.S. history.
Madam Speaker, Madam Vice President, no president has ever said those words from this podium. No president has ever said those words, and it's about time.
The seating arrangement carries a symbolic meaning for the advancement of U.S. women in recent decades. Harris and Pelosi stand first and second in the presidential line of succession, respectively. The two women play a vital role in the early days of the Biden presidency. Harris acts as a close advisor and tiebreaker in an evenly divided Senate, while Pelosi helps to marshal the president's legislative agenda through Congress. Biden speaks to a joint session of the House and Senate with restricted attendance to enforce social distancing amid the COVID-19 pandemic.